Hey, welcome back into the channel. We've surpassed our 400th subscription here, and we've had our hoodie draw. Cooter Wallace was the lucky winner, and he should be expecting one of my logoed hoodies in the mail post-haste. Alright, back to our beginner's guide to surviving Livonia. You remember our first installment? I had some connection issues just as I harvested supper. And we're in US Vanilla Plus Livonia. If anyone wants to join in, try to track me down, or join my efforts. Back to the task at hand. My belly. I need this food in it. Post-haste. So, broad daylight, open field. We need to find somewheres clever to cook this. Now that tower over to my 11 o'clock, it's got a stove in it. Make short work of this meat. However, high point of interest. I think we'll avoid that. Solo, not a good idea. If you have someone to watch your back, maybe. Now there's a little valley that leads into Lemborg just up ahead. We're going to find a spot that's well concealed, that too much smoke and light won't escape. It is approaching dusk. And on my approach to the valley, I hear a helicopter crash at my 10 o'clock. This is a stroke of luck. This is going to draw attention off of this valley and up over that hill. Right here through these bulrush underneath this tree. Perfect concealment and gives us access to the valley. If you do not yet know how to start a fire, simple twigs and tree bark. You can use one bark, one twig for an improvised hand drill kit to light your fire. Pay close attention to where you place and light fires. It has a negative rendering effect on the ground around you, and other players may cue to it. So keep that in mind when you're in a populated server and you're at a high point of interest and you need to light a fire. People may see it. Now, let's take a step back and see how much of our smoke is exposed, which I highly doubt any will be. Now, you won't be able to cook immediately. You have to let your fire prime for a few seconds. Now, although most of our smoke is concealed, players in proximity will be able to hear the sizzle of the fire and meat. So stay vigilant, focused, and keep your head on a swivel. And cooking as such, when your health is already depleting, is a fine line. If you pack your meat on your person while it's hot, you will increase your temperature, which will drop your health. As well, not stopping to eat regularly between cooking will also drop your health. I'm not satisfying my need, which is hunger. The best way to avoid complicating this is drop your meat on the floor and let it cool, but if you don't have time, take the risk. Now let's go scope out that helicopter crash. KAS with 3 rounds, single round chambered, and Colt with 2 mags, maybe 14 shots. Let's get this. Well, not much to write home about here at all. KAS, but I've already got one. If it had a clip, that would have been better. Albeit the 45 packs a good punch, and it will stumble an infected if you don't get a headshot, I still prefer to take these infected out quietly, or not at all. If we can get in and out of that crash without making a noise, even better. A dead infected at distance sticks out like a sore thumb, and players will know that someone is at the crash or is in the proximity. When you're attempting to sneak in on a helicopter crash like this, it's important to remember some of those rotor blades touch the ground. If you get in trouble, when in doubt, search high ground. You're going to stick out like a sore thumb on the horizon to other players, but you'll be safe from the infected. You'll be able to deal with them with your weapon. Hey, we found an M79 explosive round. Sweet, large tent. Well, we're only out to survive as long as possible. I don't think we're going to be setting up a base anytime soon, or I'd snap that tent up. Even though I am saving building tools as I come across them, they're more so for raiding. That's right, if you can build your way into a base, do it. With that said, raiding is not our objective here. This is purely how to survive in Livonia as a solo. But you know what? A few of my friends are running on this server, and we might just hook up. And maybe a raid or two will go down. Who knows? But for now, let's just see how far we get and how safely we arrive. Alright, all things considered, that was a pretty successful crash. I did swap out my shotgun for a Vega in the hopes I can find a 20-round clip somewheres. We're losing light quick, so my inventory is a mess. What we're going to do is we're going to park ourselves in a nice, safe place, organize our loot, and wait for morning. I thought I'd seen a player down on the road just over there, but it was an infected in the trees. The roof of this derelict building is going to be my bed for the night. It's alright. I'm going to loot this house up, climb up the rafters, lie down, sort through this loot. Running around through a town in the stark night is one thing, but out in the wilderness, every tree looks the same, every hill looks the same. And an amazingly unique feature with DayZ's skybox, the stars are pretty accurate. You can actually navigate using the stars if you're so inclined. And a striking example, this game is set in the northern hemisphere, so when you see the Milky Way, it's generally hanging in the southwest. Well, there goes any notion of going up to the military area up in Lembork. It was just gassed. Glad I decided to come up here instead of there. Some of you, if not most of you, may think that sitting back, listening to your environment, and organizing your inventory is a total waste of time. However, as a survival standpoint, knowing what I have and exactly where it is fundamental. Especially when you're in a fight or a dangerous situation and you gotta think quick. You don't want to be caught fishing through your inventory for that one item you need. And this is a well-traveled piece of road between Lembork and up to Carlin. So laying here for a few minutes, listening for sounds of shooting, fighting, or even someone running up the road could save your life. Now what I'm doing is very habit forming, and it isn't really relevant in this server because I have unlimited stamina. But as you get weighted down, sometimes you need that burst of stamina. So I like to put all my non-essential things in my backpack. It carries the most. It stays on the field the longest when you drop it. So it just makes good sense. Pack everything into that, and when you're caught in a pinch, you can drop it and come back for it later. So in this server, I'm using my backpack for all of my building supplies. As I stated previously, I'm not intending to build on this server, but I'm not adverse to the idea either. Which is pretty much the case on every server I frequent. I just move around so much that I don't really want to invest time into building something that I'm not going to use. That is the derelict town of Carlin. There's not much standing that is decent. Everything is destroyed. The road also branches off to the right down into Gjertal. I don't know how to pronounce it. Still don't know how to pronounce it. After sorting through my kit, taking a look and a listen around, I eventually did decide to log off, and I'd come back a few hours later. And wouldn't you know it, I stayed off too long. It's almost night again. I probably have about an hour's left of run. When life hands you lemons, get tequila. My editing program, PowerDirector Pro, has a vast library. This, one of the hidden gems. burning through this food we cooked up pretty quick. I think it's time we think about doing a little fishing. It's a nice little spot, not too far from here. Up over the hill to my south, there's a little valley. Dirt tracks, nice little dam, a fishing spot. Sometimes you get military convoys there. And just beyond that, hunting camps just above Giertal. I don't know how you pronounce it. Look it up. Now the trick? It's getting up this hill without being sniped in the back of the head from the military base behind me, which I've decided not to loot up. We're going to go straight down the valley, do some fishing, and then off to the hunting camps.
Every kind of people, you got to show them all some respect. 'Cause ain't no telling who might be the one who's gonna help you next. When the hustling's done, baby, even the sun lies down and says amen. Then hey, 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 is a brand new day. Get up and do it all over again. That's right.
He must play Daisy as well. Well, don't look like there's too much here. Definitely ain't no fish here. Onward and forward. Now there's a little fishing shack, a couple boats around a pond just to my southeast down this valley. We'll go check that out, drop a line in the water, see what we can't find. Very important rule of thumb, don't stay in one spot too long. So if you want to get fishing, prep yourself along the way. That way there, you expedite the time, sitting on your ass, waiting for a bullet. And until you know the map better and you have to follow trails and roads, do so at caution and do so at length. I like to stay about 20 to 30 meters off a trail and follow it, but not too far off it that you can't pinpoint wandering travelers and or events such as police events and or convoys. Speaking of, I think we have one ahead of us, a convoy that is. Now, I can't recall if this is clean water or not, so I'm popping a multi-tab just in case it's not. This should stave off any illness. And I have enough left if I do catch something. You know what I think those infected will keep? I'm going to go and check the dock first, a little outbuilding here, and then we'll hit that convoy. Dry bag. These are tremendously useful. If you have a shovel, pickaxe, garden hoe, any kind of digging tool, you can pack your loot, 63 slots, and bury it. Well shit, that one infected on the hill seen me or heard me. He's coming for me. Well, let's sledge him. Alright, let's get up and check that convoy. And if we have to engage them, try and do it quietly, one at a time. Pull them away if possible so you don't aggro the rest. sledge is mighty, but it's slow and cumbersome. And I suffer. Should have used a blade. I'm bleeding like a stuck pig. No worries though, long way from the heart. We'll get patched up and back at her. Well, it doesn't look like there really was much worth coming up here for. However, that being said, every missed opportunity has a 100% failure rate. The only thing I've found so far worth mentioning is this ghillie hood. It is tremendously helpful, breaks up your silhouette, but don't have inventory space for it, so I don't know if I'm going to throw it on and run with it or try to keep it. And for our intentions, this ghillie cloak is useless. We need the inventory space. At any rate, the crickets are getting louder and the shadows are getting longer. It's time to drop hook in water and catch us some grub. Just on the edge of this pond, there's a little dam. We're going to sit beside it, do our fishing right here. Now, when it comes to fishing, the best time to catch fish, it's true to life, at dusk and at dawn. Throughout the day, you could get a variety of things. Rubber boots, rusty old pots, you name it. Shoes. Sometimes you might not catch anything. You might even lose your worm. Excellent. Now that we got our fish caught, we can go ahead and light a fire and cook this fish one piece at a time. However, there is a small cottage just to our east above the hunting cabins. I think I'm going to take the chance and go there and cook all the fish in one shot. Four pieces of tarp combined with rope and 4 sticks, you can create yourself an improvised shelter that you can place into the trees. I don't think we'll be doing that this run. What we need to be doing right now is getting this fish cooked before it gets any darker. It's one thing that our smoke is going to send off a huge signal to other players, but the bright light in the stark night, that's another story. The environment itself is a fundamental component that's missing from most shooter games, adventure games, and survival games for that matter. Everything in this game wants to kill you, right down from the environment to other players, the food, the lack thereof, the animals. This map attacks you on a molecular level. You can get sick from virtually anything. Once you learn the fundamental mechanics behind surviving in the wild, foraging, hunting, fishing, you'll become less reliant on towns and increase your life expectancy by limiting your exposure to other players. And I find it rather entertaining when you get blowhards that come in from Call of Duty and Battlefield thinking they know what's what, and they starve to death repeatedly. They end up leaving server and going back to Call of Duty because they can't find food. Oh, boo-hoo. Okay, end rant. We got our fire lit, we got our fish on the grill. Now, all we need to do is keep our eye out and stay alive. And when it comes to choice of food, I highly recommend either boiled fish or cooking the fish. The fish is by far the most OP meat on the game, next to bear. Alright, speaking of bear, bear is a passive-aggressive animal. Now, it will attack you, but it probably will not kill you unless you inflict damage on it. Don't shoot at it unless you know you can kill it. And if you can avoid it altogether, do so. The old adage is, if it's brown, lay down. If it's black, fight back. Well, hell, if it's a bear, get the hell out of there. I only mention that because we are on the edge of a bear trigger. That's right, this area is where the bears start to spawn in. Also wolf. I will venture down south with minimal firearms, only for the wolf. Bears, I'm pretty confident I can survive one without attacking it. Therefore, I don't need a big firearm for it. However, when it comes to the wolf, they are relentless. They will not give up until you're dead, or they're dead. So you better want to make sure you have enough bullets, at least 1 to 2 per wolf. On this particular server, I'm not sure what the wildlife is set to yet, or at least the predator animals, so I'm feeling confident that at least this Colt 1911 and 2 clips will mitigate any wolf that I come across until I can get a better firearm. That right there, that is our east side castle. This area is good to find your chainmail and your plated armor and your helmets and sword, that type of thing. I really don't agree with it being in the game, but whatever. It is what it is. Just because it's there doesn't mean you have to pick it up. I usually just toss it. You can also luck out and find hunting gear there. Rifles, scopes, vests, knives, gun cleaning kits, things of this nature. Well, as we're pushing east away from the setting sun, we're losing light at a rapid pace. Not to mention, there is a storm moving in, so it's getting darker a little earlier. And when I mentioned this game attacks you on a molecular level, if you don't keep dry and you remain out in the cold, you'll find out just how fast you'll get sick and how annoying it is. The constant and incessant sneezing, coughing, and shivering. So annoying. And left untreated, yes, very fatal. We're almost nearing the field, just above the camps. There's a little hunting tower there, I want to check that out. And it's starting to rain, so it's a good idea to take some cover. You will notice too that the rain is less under a large canopy of trees. You're still going to get wet, but it will take you longer to get wet. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to hop up on this deer stand under a nice dry perch and show you just exactly how dark it is and why I'm going to call this session right here. But we will pick it up right from where we left off in our next adventure. So if you're liking and enjoying and learning, drop a like, consider a subscription, and come on back. And if you're new to the channel, the link in the description is for the first episode of this continuing journey. Thank you all, and I appreciate you tremendously.